Hello everyone and welcome to Bourbon Bites Whiskey Reviews with a gaming twist. I'm your host Clifton and welcome to another Thursday night live stream. As with last week, this is a flight brought to you by one of our incredible Byte Club members here on the channel, who are the supporters / patrons of the channel. Tonight's flight is brought to us by Don Nishita, who has been a supporter / fan / friend of the channel for a very long time. So he's also here in the chat as well. So y'all give a warm welcome to Don Nishita. He provided tonight's flight for the stream. So this is my first time really doing a deep dive on the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. So it's a thing that I've been familiar with, but just really largely uneducated with, until our friend Don introduced me to the club and made me realize that they are one of the most prestigious and well-known whiskey clubs in the world of Scottish whiskey. So I'm very, very excited to be trying 5 different expressions of it here tonight. I say that as I'm only looking at 4 in front of me. No, I'm like, what did I actually I'll look it up. No worries. I closed a tab. I closed a tab early. No worries. But yes, we have 5 expressions of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society that we're trying tonight. I'm very, very excited to get into them and see my first impressions, because I've not tried any of these before. If you're not familiar, like I said, they are one of the most prestigious whiskey clubs in the U.S. Sorry, not in the U.S. There's a U.S. branch, which is the Scotch Malt Whisky Society of the U.S., but there's also a U.K. branch as well. Don, do you have any additional info about it that you'd like to share that maybe I'm missing here? Like I said, actually, I'm realizing I'm leaving out one of these pours on my lineup here. Just want to make sure I have them all ready to go. Boop, boop, boop. Aha, I found the missing one. All right, we're all set. We're all set. I'm just going to open them. So, welcome to another Thursday night stream. Welcome to October. I just put out a new podcast episode that went live this morning, talking about the big news in the world of whiskey, which is the Westland Whiskey Heist. But I'm also reviewing a Westland Single Cask Nation release for the very first time. So check that out. Wherever you get your podcast, just search the Bourbon Bites podcast. I've been really enjoying doing these shorter form, 30 minutes or less episodes, highlighting the latest news in the world of whiskey and video games, as well as a bite-sized review at the end. So if you missed it, make sure to check it out. It's easy to get caught up because they're very, very short. But yeah, since we're talking about independent bottlers, I thought it would make sense to do tonight's stream with another independent bottler that is very, very high regarded. You know, Single Cask Nation has been doing Scotch, Irish, American, Canadian. They've been all over the place. So they were the ones that did the Westland that I reviewed this week. So I was like, let me stick to the theme of independent bottlers and let me go to these samples that Don sent me from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. So very, very excited to get into these. I cannot wait to see what I think of them. Like I said, first impressions. A lot of these are distilleries that I've not heard of. I did pull up their little numbering chart to decide to see which one of these are from what distillery. So I'll give you quite a bit of info about each of them as much as I can, and then we're going to get into a tasting. This is a members only club, so the only way you get access to the bottles is becoming a member of the club, unless you have friends like Don Nishita who share samples when they're moving all the way from Hawaii to Colorado. I really appreciate these, Don. I know you sent these a while back, but I'm just now getting to them. But again, huge thank you for these. I know you shared them when I was at your place when we were in Oahu, but I'm excited to revisit or try some new ones here now. Don said the 2G bottles are grain, so probably do them first. Well, lucky you, I already planned that, so I'm excited. Yes, I'm doing the 2G ones first. I'm going based off of the descriptions on the website. If you saw the thumbnail, we have 2 of the blue labels, 2 of the purple labels, and 1 of the orange label. Oh, sorry. 2 of the blue labels, 2 of the orange labels, and 1 of the purple labels. So the blue label ones are labeled as juicy oak and vanilla. The orange labels are labeled as deep, rich, and dried fruits. And the purple label is sweet, fruity, and mellow. So a wide gamut of flavor profiles here. Now, don't worry, this is just part 1. There's going to be a part 2 because Don sent me some incredible peated expressions as well as some limited edition exclusives that we're going to do in a part 2 if this goes well. We'll see how this goes. Might just be drinking those alone with Don on a hangout. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into these. Like I said, it's a Scotch stream. I know a lot of you guys are I know most people watching the channel are bourbon drinkers, which I am at heart, but I do love expanding and exploring other types of whiskey, and I think Scotch is one that's really grown on me. And I think, if you would have given me these whiskeys like 3 years ago and said, like, review these very exclusive Scotches, I would have had no idea what I was going to say. But now that I think I've been more well-rounded in the world of whiskey and hopefully have a bit more experience, I'm going to be able to speak to these truthfully. Yes, it's going to be coming from a bourbon lover, but you're going to get my honest, true first impressions. So I wanted to set my palate. I actually poured myself a Scotch to get started. This is actually a Deanston 18. It's an 18, yeah. I have a Deanston 18 that I just poured myself to get myself familiarized. One of my favorite Scotches. I know Emily Chambers, I don't think she's here yet, but she normally shows up in our live stream. She's a big Deanston fan as well. So I'm going to have a quick little sip of this to set my palate, and then we're going to get into these Scotch Malt Whisky Society releases. Let's see who's also here. Alfonso's here. Had to do a Mac update. No worries. Good to see you. Don said it's tough because the same distilleries can have such different flavor profiles. If you love one of their monthly releases, you may not be able to get a second. That's totally fair. Tony Bag of Donuts is in the chat. He says, Don, I wonder if I'm closer to Colorado now. Cheers from Austin. Oh, you're in Austin. Awesome. Well, Tony, have fun. Hope you're having a great time. Speaking of travel, I'm actually going to be in Las Vegas this weekend, meeting up with some friends that have never been there before. So we're having like their kind of first time in Vegas experience. So we're going all out. We're seeing show. We're doing the buffet. We're doing maybe the happy hour high roller, which those of you that joined us in our Chris and Lil adventures back in 2022 on the happy hour high roller, you know how crazy things got. So I'm going in for part 2 of that. Let's see who else is here. Donner Pass Whiskey's in the chat. Good to see you. Doug, Taste and Sensibility. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Prescription Bourbon in the chat as well. Cheers to all of you. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday evening. I know it's tough to get people in for a Scott stream, but I think these releases are special enough that they're going to deserve at least watching. If you're not watching live, you're going to watch the replay because there's some really, really special bottles here. So I'm very, very excited to get into them. I'm going to have another sip of this Deanston, and then we're going to get into our pours. But before I get into those, I want to know what you guys are sipping on tonight. Those of you watching live, or if you're watching the replay, leave a comment down below. I read every comment. Don't worry. Like I'm not like that. Like I'm like, oh, if you're not here live, like I don't get to see your comments. No, I read them all. There's Emily. I just gave you a shout out earlier, Emily. I was saying, what were we talking about? Someone in the comment made a comment. Where was it? I lost it. Totally forgot what I was saying. Oh, it wasn't even in the chat. I was saying I poured myself a Deanston to get myself set with a Scotch palate tonight. And I said, I know Emily loves her Deanston as well. So cheers to you, Emily. Thank you for being here. Emily is one of our incredible mods on the channel. So appreciate you being here to help keep the peace. Matthew Parks in the chat as well. Cheers to you, Matthew. Good to see you. Man, so many great supporters of the channel. Thank you all for subscribing, being here week to week, being a Byte Club member or Patreon member. Seriously, it does mean a lot to me. I love you all. New month, new perks for Patreon/Byte Club members. If you want to get in on our monthly tasting, let me know. That's our Bourbon Terabyte tier. Those samples are going to be going out probably in the next week and a half. So if you want to get in on that, we also are going to do our monthly movie night, which for October is always a really bad 80s horror movie. So a couple years ago, we did a marathon of like horror movies. I think last year we watched, I can't remember what we watched last year, but this year I think my theme this year for our monthly movie night is going to be like an ultimate like cult classic, really bad. Like I'm talking like bad. Like I'm talking like maybe not even a B movie, but like a C movie. We're going to watch one of those for our Halloween, not Halloween, but our October monthly movie night. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. If you're curious about joining that, you can head to bourbonbites.com. There's a link in the description below. That's how you can join our membership program, which gets you access to things like that, as well as exclusive rooms on our Discord server, our monthly tasting, which I mentioned earlier, and private hangouts with me, if you so please. So, cheers to the Byte Club. All right, I think we're ready to go into our first Scotch Malt Whisky Society pour. This is going to be, now, the thing about the naming of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society is they're based off of kind of a code name based on the cask number. So the first one we're going to start with here, I'll show you guys right here, is G10.30. Now, if you go on their website, you can absolutely search that up and you will find the bottle, you'll find all the stats about it. The only thing you won't find specifically is what distillery this is from, But thankfully, there are a lot of guides showing you what the first three or the first numbers before the period indicate the distillery. So I'm going to pull up my handy little guide, and then we're going to see what this G1030 release is all about. So this one is nicknamed Bonbons, if you're curious. The retail on it was $115. It is a 15-year-old lowland Scotch whiskey in a first fill barrel. Now, doing a little bit of digging to find out what G10 stands for on their scale. This is actually from a distillery that I've never heard of, but I've definitely had their juice before. The distillery is called Strathclyde, Strathclyde. And I'm like, I've never heard of this in my life. But then if you Google that distillery, you'll realize they are the one behind Chivas Brothers, Chivas, which I'm sure you've seen that Scotch before. It's like usually a blended Scotch. I think it's Chivas Regal is the name of it. It is a blended Scotch whiskey, but this is the distillery that contributes most of their juice into it. So like Todd said, this is a grain whiskey, but it is 15 years old. Let me pull up more info about it here. Like I said, first fill barrel, 15 years old. This was distilled back in 2005. The ABV is 61.7% ABV, which is very, very high. And it was also only allocated for the US, only 120 bottles. So it's a very, very limited release of basically cask strength Chivas. Am I pronouncing that? Is it Chivas? Chivas. Is that pronounced differently? Let me know. Again, I didn't start with bottom shelf Scotch, believe it or not. I started with bottom shelf bourbon, worked my way up the bourbon ladder, and then someone was like, oh, try Scotch. But they didn't start me on the blended, Johnny Walkers or Naked Grouse and things like that. They started me on the high-end single malts. Chivas, they're Scotch that sounds Spanish to Spanish speakers. There you go. I agree with that. All right, but like I said, this is a 15-year-old. Then they do give tasting notes here. I'll go to those in a second, but I'm just going off of the info we have here on the website. Again, this is in their juicy oak and vanilla category. Let's go and give that a nose. Juicy, oaky, vanilla. I'm just kidding. No. Interesting nose. That's weirdly tropical. I kind of accidentally took a little sneak peek here at their notes they have on their website. And I am getting a tropical note to it. Now, bonbons. I think of like bourbon bonbons, but that's not necessarily the same thing. Bonbons are more of a chocolatey thing, right? Okay, yeah, I'm not getting the chocolate, but I am getting a coconut. I was seeing like a coconut candy, so I had to Google that real quick to make sure bonbons weren't a coconut candy. Yeah, it's got a nice, like, toasted coconut on it, and I know that's the first descriptor here on the website, but I'm telling you it's extremely accurate. Now, not only am I getting coconut, I'm getting a bit of tropical fruit as well. I don't want to say pineapple, because to me it's not coming off as sweet as pineapple on the nose. Maybe papaya? That's a very specific one. It's a little bit more of a bitter fruit note, but it still has that... honestly, it's kind of like a peach, but like an underripe peach. I think on a stream recently I said overripe peach. Peach. This one's a bit more sour, super tart, like you bit into a peach that just wasn't ready yet. On the nose, I'm kind of getting that. It's kind of like tickling my nose hairs a little bit there. Could be the proof, but yeah, it's like a weirdly like very specifically coconut nose. And I'm saying this because I'm someone that am weird about coconut. So I'm very quick to pick up on a coconut taste or nose. One, because I think I'm mildly allergic to coconut. So whenever like a dessert has coconut in it, I feel like I taste it. I'm like, wait, I think that was coconut in that. And then like the roof of my mouth starts getting a little itchy. It's a very mild allergy. Like I'm not super worried about it. But sometimes when I have coconut, I can immediately feel it in the top of my mouth. So I'm not expecting that here because there's obviously no coconut in it. But I'm very careful to look out for those things that smell and taste like coconut. So as soon as I smelled this, I got coconut, and then I glanced over. I'm like, toast a coconut. Yep, I'm not crazy. Yeah, on the nose, I mean, I will say it's a simple nose, but that's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just got overall just like a very light layer of toast on top of a bed of fruitiness. So I'm really curious to see how this does on the palate, because on the nose, it smells unique, unlike probably unlike any whiskey I've had before. Now, this is a grain whiskey, as Don said in the chat. My experience with grain whiskeys from Scotland are very limited, so it could just be that. Does anyone in the chat want to describe like what the difference is between like a grain whiskey and a single malt whiskey? I could probably try to explain it, but I think you guys would know better. It's more, I'll let you guys explain it. But yeah, interesting nose. Not quite sure how I'm going to feel about this, but I'm going to go in for a taste. Cheers, y'all. And thank you again to Don Nishita and the Scotch Malt Whisky Society for these pours. Cheers. I like that proof though. In terms of flavor, I'll wait for like an official description between like a grain whiskey and like a single malt. But in terms of flavor, think of this as like a light whiskey compared to a bourbon. Like it's got those sweet vanilla notes, typically high proof, usually high age. I think a lot of the grain whiskeys are high age, but you're not getting too much of an oak influence that makes you think that it's an older whiskey. It's extremely hot, but like the vanilla and the caramel sweetness really do kind of balance it out a bit. I'm gonna have to go for another taste of that one. Yeah. Once you get over the fact that this is pretty high proof, you get a lot of dessert quality notes to it. Vanilla was the first thing that was popping out, but the more I sip it, the more it goes a little bit more creamy, a little bit more custard maybe. I would say it's not necessarily like a creamy caramel. That's like a little bit different. It's like a creamy. You know, it's kind of smooth in a way that certain chocolate candies are. Like they kind of have a bit of like an oily coating to them, which is probably the cocoa butter. It's kind of giving like a cocoa butter type mouthfeel. It's kind of like oily, but really, really sweet. Little bit of, I mean, I still don't get oil. I mean, sorry, I don't still get oil. I still don't get too much oak here. We're dealing with a very delicate whiskey forward whiskey, if that makes sense. We're not taking on elements from the oak cask. It is a first fill barrel, but I'm telling you that wood barrel did not influence this very much at all. Other than maybe mellowing it out a little bit, contributing to those like vanilla notes. Oh, Don Nishita with the answer here. He said single malt is 100% barley. Grain whiskey can contain corn, rye, wheat, etc. Interesting. Okay. That doesn't necessarily solve my like dilemma here. Whereas I feel like it's getting so. It's like I said, like it's how I experience like a light whiskey here in America. It's such a big, bold flavor burst, but it's like oak neutral. Like it's not taking on those oak characteristics. Now, correct me if I like how I'm asking a lot of questions. First fill barrel doesn't mean that this was the first thing that was put into the barrel. I think a first fill barrel means that these were like bourbon barrels that they reused, and this is the first time Scotch or a grain whiskey has been added to it. If I remember correctly, that's what a first fill barrel is. Like we say a first fill Oloroso barrel, there was still Oloroso sherry in there before that this whiskey hit it. So Zophar said chocolate ganache. Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, it's like a light air. Okay, thank you. I love how I rely on you guys to kind of help me round out these notes here a bit. Let me go for another taste here though. It's not a virgin barrel. Okay, cool. That's what I thought so. You can tell that oak is not like... Alfonso, I'm kind of there, but I think what's happening here is the proof is kind of distracting me from those more intricate notes. If I would have planned a little more accordingly, I would have absolutely brought a little bit of... Oh, you know what? I have some... I was like, I have some water, but it's been sitting here a little too long, so I'm not going to trust adding that to that. And I do have a water glass. Let me try something. I will say for this one, I think particularly this one, it needs a little bit of water. I think the proof is great, and I love the proof, but I think it's overwhelming me on the palate that I'm not getting some of the more particular notes. Zopher said chocolate ganache would play into the bonbon name. Okay. Oh my god. It's funny because I didn't even make that association. I mentioned bonbons earlier, but I'm like, oh, there's like a bit of a chocolate note. Okay, maybe they know what they're doing with some with their naming convention. I did not even make the connection to the fact that I said it tastes like a chocolate and then bonbon. Okay. Don says some sketchy old water always adds more flavor. No, I made sure to pour some from my fresh glass of water. So I just can't be a little as precise. I will say that one that I have with my dipper in it is more precise, but it's been sitting a little too long, so I need to wash that out. Matthew says, which one am I drinking now? So right now I'm still drinking the first one. I'm taking my time with it. This is G10.34. There we go. Yeah, G10.34. This one's called Bonbons, is like the code name for it. All right, I added a little bit of water, probably a little too much, but let me see how this does with a little bit of Nose is toned down a bit, still very vanilla. I mean, this is vanilla. This is like natural vanilla extract. I think of like when I travel, there are a lot of places that will sell you vanilla for a very affordable price. Mexico particularly. It's like a natural vanilla note. Yeah. Delicious. I mean, amazing note on the nose. That water really opened that up a bit. Let's see how it tastes now, though. Yeah. I mean, I think I put too much water. I think I mellowed it a little too much, but it definitely brought down the heat and brought out even more sweetness. So I'm getting like a little bit of like a, with water added, I'm getting a bit of a pound cake kind of note, like a vanilla pound cake, maybe a little bit of the glaze on top, maybe even a little lemon glaze, a little bit of tartness there on the top of that. Oh shoot, did I show the wrong bottle? I'm sorry. Backtrack. I moved the one that I already poured out of the way because I was trying not to get myself confused. I'm so sorry about that, Matthew. I'm drinking the G1030. This is what's in my glass right now. That's the bonbon one. I was about to move to the other one. I think that's why I put that in front of me, so I apologize. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll be honest. It's much more approachable with water, but I think it's more complex without. I think the happy medium here for me would be to add a bit of a maybe an ice cube or even just a few drops of water. When I put the little pour of water in there, I think I overdid it. It did improve the nose, but the palate I think is a little bit more muted now. But I enjoy it. Listen, I'm gonna come back to it. We got 4 more whiskeys to drink though. So now we're gonna move on over to the G1034, as I previously claimed. G10.34. There we go. G10.34 is our next pour. So again, G10 signifies the distillery. We are in the same distillery. We are still with the Strathclyde distillery, which is known for the Chivas Regal release. But this one is a completely different whiskey. Let's look at it. This one is actually also a 15-year-old whiskey. The name of this one is And Now, A Word from the Cask. So this is a 15-year-old lowland whiskey. It is a second fill hogshead cask. It does say HTMC. I wonder if that means anything. Oh, heavy toast, medium char. I love that. That's so straightforward. Well done. So it's a hogshead that's heavy toasted and medium char. And so my guess here is what happened is they recharred this cask. Let's see what they have here. Matured in a bourbon barrel for 11 years before transfer to a second fill, heavy toast, medium char hogshead. Awesome. So this is finished, basically. It's the same. I think it's the same distillate. It's a 15-year distillate from this distillery. Date distilled is July 2005. Same age, 61.9. I mean, this is the same distillate. This is very clearly the same distillate. Now this one's bottled at 61.9% ABV, but that's probably just from the process of the extended aging here. That's really fun. I love that. So we're tasting the same stuff, but in a heavy toast, medium char finish cask. Color-wise, let me pour this and I'll show you guys real quick. We're doing it neat first, just like we did the last one. So just real quick, the one on my left, your right, is the first fill cask. The one on the other one is the second fill cask with that extra heavy toast medium char. So we're adding some more oak elements into this whiskey that I said was devoid of oak. So I'm really curious to see what comes of that. Matthew says, what do you think? Inland or coastline on the G1030? I'm not getting any specific coastal notes there. I mean, this is just a guess from my experience. I'm not getting any of that brine note. And I love a briny whiskey. If you guys know, a couple weeks ago, I did a stream where I tasted the saltiest whiskeys I had. And there were plenty of scotches in that mix. So I didn't get any brine on that, but maybe we'll see. We'll see how the second barreling affects this whiskey. So like I said, this is the G1034. Ooh. I'm going to pour me a little bit more of this one, just a little side by side. I didn't realize beforehand that these were the same whiskeys, so got to have a little bit more, just do a little comparison there. All right, G10.34. But now that I don't want to backtrack, but now that I just said that there wasn't much brine or saltiness on that first one, I'm getting a little bit on this one. Now that I'm looking for it, Matthew. Oh no. I still stand by what I said. I don't get it on this one. This one's still vanilla, super sweet dessert. Yeah. Not at all on the G1030. The G1034, though, however, with that extra toasting, getting a little bit more of a savory note here. So it's almost got a bit of a I don't want to say peanut brittle. It's like, okay, I'm trying to think of something specific. It's like if you were making peanut brittle, but you accidentally burnt the caramel. I guess that's it. Burnt caramel is a bit of a nose here. Savory, a little nutty. Still vanilla, but like really dark. This one's not nearly as sweet as the other one. Dark, a little bit more toasted vanilla, I would say. Planted a coastal grain of sand in my brain. No, it almost did, because this one does have a little bit of coastal, but the one that I was reviewing previously does not. So I'm not fully convinced. Oh yeah, that's a toasted vanilla, little nutty. Wow. I will say the nose on this is way more complex and more interesting than G1030. This one's simple vanilla. Not to say it has a fault, but it's just simplistic. This one, you're adding that extra toast, that extra char. I mean, I'm getting a bit of like, this is more of a cake, like a yellow cake. I said pound cake on that one, but this is more of like a yellow buttery cake. Buttered. You know, I almost want to say pineapple upside down cake, but again, it's not quite pineapple. It's more of like a caramel vanilla cake. Maybe. Okay, I will stop nosing this. This smells amazing. Brulee is a great note, Alfonso. Toasted vanilla brulee, I think, is a very similar note here. You know what's funny is I keep expecting vanilla on the nose. I'm looking for vanilla. Sorry, did I say vanilla? Banana. Banana is what I'm looking for. And the only reason I say that is it smells like it could be a really good banana pudding, maybe. Because I said pineapple upside down cake, and that wasn't right. There's no pineapple. So I'm looking for more of like a sweeter banana note here. Not getting too much on the nose, but I could see a world where I could... Okay. We'll withhold my judgment. Let's go in for a taste of G10.34. Cheers. Ooh. Also high proof. Oh. Oh. Mmm. The fact that my mouth is still wet after just swallowing that is a good sign. Wow. That is an incredible whiskey. That is like, I'm like almost tearing, like, I don't want to say tearing up, but like it's, my eyes are probably watering because it's high proof and it kind of caught me off guard. That is absolutely incredible. It kind of reminds me of some of the things I really love about a Brown Forman bourbon or rye whiskey that has it. I found the banana. It's on the palate. It's not on the nose. It's on the palate. It has a very, very refined banana, but very, like very, like a cooked banana note, right? Like it's not like a fresh, like underripe banana. Banana pudding, banana. I know people say banana foster, but to me that I don't have much experience with that. So I'm going to say more of like a banana bread. It's more of a banana bread. But that is such an intense. Sorry, I just saw the comment that Alfonso said you can clearly see in your facial expression that more is going on. I don't know what moment you're referring to, but like, and then I see Flavor Town down below. Yes, 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 yes. On the nose, I liked it. On the palate, that is blowing me away. Man, man. I don't know why I'm loving this. It's not that I don't know why I'm loving this. It's like I'm just surprised that I'm loving this early on into this flight. This is one of the most incredible tasting whiskeys, international whiskeys I've ever had. I think it's bringing some of the things I'm familiar with from American whiskey here that like I'm a little more used to, but when it comes to a Scotch, I'm not expecting these really bold, brilliant flavors. The banana especially. Man, I don't know when that came out. Is that still available? Out of stock, of course. This was $115 at retail. Only 90 bottles were available in the US. So I hesitate to recommend it because it's like it's it's just so special and so good. I'll stop ranting, I promise, but I'll just say this is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had. And that's like that's hard for me to say, but Don, thank you so much for that one. Do you like this one? Do you remember liking this one? I want to know if I'm crazy because this is so good. Zover said bananas Foster. Don said, I recall back in 2018, 2019 when a lot of bourbon YouTube channels would say we'd like Scotch if they only did the cast strength. I was like, hold my glass, I gotcha. Matthew says, not surprised that you're getting all those notes from a grain whiskey. Matthew says, feels good to spread the whiskey gospel, huh? Yeah, no, wow. That is... It makes me feel bad because I feel like I was kind of mediocre about the first one, which is the same spirit, but adding that toasted and medium char is just like elevates this to the next level. That's just proof that like single malt scotches or Scotch grain whiskeys can have as much of a power as a bourbon. You just got to treat it right. You got to do that toasting, you got to do that extra char to make someone feel this way about it. All right, I'll move on. I promise I'll move on, but holy moly. I don't know how you can get better than there, but we can. We might can. We got 3 more whiskeys to try. Don said I did enjoy it, but I don't go back to the G bottles often. Okay. I'll go back to the first one we had here just so I can rinse a glass and move on to the last 3 we have tonight. I see where this whiskey contributed to how good that one was, but there are no words to describe how much better that is. I would say that's like 3 times as good. That one is 3 times as good as the distillate without the extra toast and heavy char. My personal opinion. Wow. All right. Well, if y'all are enjoying the stream, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. It does help a lot. I know like a lot of you guys think like, oh, it's just like a YouTube thing, but it does help this get recommended to other people, especially people that are interested in the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I'd love to get the word more out about them for the American bourbon and rye whiskey audience, that you can find such an incredible flavor in one of their releases is, it makes me want to sign up right now, is all I gotta say. If you need another advocate, let me know. If you need a brand ambassador for Southern California, I'm right here. Matthew said, now are there samples of the bottle available for purchase? Well, that is something that you will have to discuss with someone else. I do know that Don was moving, not internationally, he was moving to the mainland U.S., so he had to get rid of a lot of bottles. So I think a lot of these were his way of finishing off bottles by sharing with the Whiskey Tube community, and we could not thank him anymore for this. It's such an incredible experience. All right, we got 3 more whiskeys to get through. I know I sat on that last one for a long time, but it was worth spending time with because it was one of the best things I've had all year. So we're going to move on to our third whiskey of the night. This one is in the category of deep, rich, and dried fruits. This is cask number 41.142. This is, the nickname of this one is Jam Packed with Darkness. Retail on this was $135. Age is 13 years old. It is a Speyside region, first fill, Spanish oak, Pedro Jimenez butt cask. I love me some PX sherry. I know I'm going to be in the world of loving of this release. But first, let's do a little bit of research. Let's find what that 41 number means on the Scotch Malt Whisky Association, Scotch Malt Whisky Society's little cheat sheet here. So this one is a 41. Let's see what this distillery is. 41. 41 is Dalhuane. Okay, Dalhuane. Now I get this confused with Dalwhinnie because it looks like it said Dalwhinnie's, but Dalhuane, I have had a couple of their whiskey releases before, mostly single cask independent bottlings from K&L Wine and Spirits here in Southern California. I don't think I've had any of their individual bottlings, but this is, as you can tell, wine cask influenced. So let's go and get 41.142 poured and give our first impressions. Don said he wishes he saved some now. I gave away most of my open bottles and sold around 45 unopened. Well, yeah, no, and Don, again, thank you again for providing these. I'm so excited. Thank you for stepping in when someone did not step up to provide samples that were previously promised. I acknowledge you and I appreciate you for taking the initiative there, Don. And it does mean a lot to me. And I know we know what we're talking about, but let's go ahead and nose this one. The 41.142. Didn't mean to cheers, but hell yeah, cheers, guys. Let me nose this one though first. Oh my God, my eyes almost rolled again. Dude, I'm getting it. I'm finally getting it. You know what this reminds me of? Weirdly enough, I know it's a much more expensive version of it, but I was actually having a pour of this last night. I was finishing up my podcast that went live today, and I poured myself a little bit of this Compass Box Crimson Cask, which is a blended malt whiskey, but it's heavily focused on those wine cask finishings. So I really enjoyed this last night while I was editing, and this kind of reminds me of it, but of course, higher proof. Let's see what info we have here. I don't know if I fully read everything. 13-year-old is the age on it. Distilled back in May of 2007. May of 2007. Wow. I was turning 14 years old. 120 bottles in the US. ABV is 57.5% ABV. Getting a little, my acid reflux is adding up a little bit from this high proof, but I'm gonna enjoy it. Matthew says Dalhuane is right down the road from Aberlour, Glenallachie, and Benrinnes. I'm familiar with 2 of those 3. I do love Aberlour. I'm a big fan. Emily says happy Cliffy night. Oh, Cliffy is happy indeed. Listen, I don't get a chance to try high-end Scotch as often as I, would like, because high-end Scotch is high-end prices. So when I have amazing friends that are willing to share it, it does just blow my mind how good it can be. So I'm hoping I'm doing the same for you guys watching, realizing that someone that loves bourbon and advocates for bourbon nonstop can appreciate Scotch whiskey being quite a bit more intricate and elevated when it comes to overall experience, tasting notes, complexity. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people say like, oh, well, Scotch is better than bourbon. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Scotch has more intricate notes and more things that you can pull out of a high-end Scotch than you'd even be able to pull out in a high-end bourbon. Is how I feel about it. Not saying it's better, but saying it's definitely more. It takes more brain power. How about that? It takes more brain power to digest and analyze a high-end Scotch than a high-end bourbon. And I'll stand by that. I don't disagree with that. I think with bourbon, we're pretty clear on like what notes we're looking for. We're pretty clear on what we love and what we don't love. But Scotch can introduce you to flavors and notes that you never thought you would ever get. So I'll leave it at that. Scottish hug, hell yeah. Yeah, this nose is it's also got a bit of that like nuttiness that I got on the last one. I mean, the casks here are shining. Not to say that the distillate's not, but the casks are shining here. It's a bit of a toasted oak, a little toasted peanut, a little bit of like an amaretto, a little bit of nose there. Man, but it goes a little savory too. I can't tell you what I think of this whiskey on the nose. I'm gonna have to go for a taste. So let's go for a taste of 41.142. Again, this one is the Jam Packed with Darkness release. Cheers. So this is something that not a lot of people know about me, but I'm going to share it tonight because it's a subconscious thing that happens to me that the only person that knows about this is my husband. When I really enjoy something, whether it be, it's mostly food. It's like 90% food. But when I taste something that I'm like, that is exceptional quality, my immediate instinct is to do this. And I don't know if you guys just heard it. I did that with that whiskey. And I don't take that for granted. I don't just do that. I don't just do that when like I'm just trying to like fill time or fill dead air. I do that when I really mean it. And this whiskey got a out of me. So like I said, it's subconscious. I'm not even thinking about it when I do it. It just literally comes out. So now that I've got my out of the way, let's go for a taste. Almost did it again. Literally, I had to hold it back in my mouth. You know why, though? This one more than the others. It's a savory quality to it. It's almost the same enjoyment I get out of enjoying like a really nice dish. I was going to say a steak. It's not quite meaty. I don't want to say it's meaty, but it's a little smoky. And it has some of the qualities that I really enjoy about a really nice, like, smoked or well-charred dish. It could even be a vegetable. Shit. I love a good charred vegetable. But there's something in this whiskey that is absolutely blowing my mind with how well balanced that is. Yeah, it's a little bit of like a in the South when we do barbecue, we have a thing called burnt ends, which is mostly just the charred bits chopped off of like a brisket or something like that. Getting a little bit of that burnt end, a little bit tannic, a little bit bitter, but still all that smoky good flavor. And it's not peated at all. I'm not getting a peated quality at all. It's just like a really nice barrel influence, maybe. I mean, I'll be honest. This one, I prefer the previous one. I prefer the G10.34 over this one. I think it's more well-balanced whiskey, but this one is providing some of my favorite notes on a whiskey that I've ever experienced. So these two are right up there together. This one is a Speyside. I don't know if I mentioned, did I mention it was a Speyside? I think I did. 13-year-old Speyside, first fill PX cask. Yeah, that is unlike any other PX cask I've ever had. For sure. Sorry, I've been ignoring the chat. I'm sorry that I've been like over here like dying with this, how much I'm loving this whiskey. Sorry, I'm gonna go back. Don said that Scotch is different experience. Good Scotch, that is. There are not great Scotches out there as well. Agreed, 100%. Alfonso said appreciate things for what they are, not what they aren't. M says Scotch tends to be more oil than bourbon, so the flavors hit different. Agree with you there, M. Matthew says my light bulb moment for loving Scotch came when I realized that there are multiple words of flavor available with Scotch that you can't get with bourbon. Absolutely. I think that the gamut of like the flavor spectrum in Scotch is wider than the flavor spectrum of bourbon. And I've said that for years. I mean, again, doesn't mean I don't love bourbon, but I feel like the flavor spectrum, it's like if you have a rainbow, like you have the Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, violet for a, I think I skipped blue somewhere in there. Anyways, you have that for bourbon, you extend it and you get like dark red, pink, light sage, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you add extra layers of color in there. That's how I see these flavor notes of Scotch. You're not saying that it's better or worse. You're saying that there's more complex notes that you can pull out specifically for the Scotch. And I guarantee you that's what's happening here. That's why my mind is being blown quite a bit right here. My poker face is down. Absolutely. Tony said that's what she said. Probably everything I've said tonight is that what she said, honestly. Zover said, dang it, Clifton, that sounds wonderful. I'm just speaking my mind, guys. I'm literally giving you guys first impression. Never had these before, but this is real, honest first impressions. I'm over the moon. Absolutely, I am. Matthew says Daluane is owned by Diageo, so it goes in many blended scotches. But having a sole distillery single malt is special with a wish I had their flora and fauna bottling. Shades and tints. I love that. That's a great expression. Scotch. Here it goes down into my... I feel like I've seen you say this before, Tony. Don said, someone told me once bourbon is like shopping in 2 aisles of a grocery store. Scotch is like shopping the entire store. I can't disagree. I can't disagree at all. It doesn't mean that you don't find what you love. Like, listen, okay. If your favorite aisles in the grocery store are the I don't go grocery shopping. Let's say your favorite aisles in the grocery store are the candy aisle and the tinned fish aisle. I will allude to our Discord conversations we've been having because I'm a fan of tinned fish. That doesn't mean that you don't love your Reese's cups and your can of sardines, but when you venture over to the asparagus aisle and you're like, oh, I like asparagus too. That's like the equivalent of like, I like this briny, oceany Scotch. I don't know what I'm saying. You get the point. I'm done with making analogies. I'm not going to do that again. Don, I'll let you lead with the analogies. We got 2 more whiskeys to try here in 10 more minutes. Let's go ahead and get going. That was fantastic. I think I still prefer the second pour over the third, but we got 2 more to try. So let's go to it. I'm not gonna stick around too long. Next up is another orange label. This is another deep, rich, and dried fruit expression. This is cask number 68.52. This one is known as Wonderfully Deep. This is a 13-year-old Highland malt with first fill PX sherry butts. Now, last time we had the second... Oh, no, sorry. It was the first fill. Yeah, so this is the same thing. Same first fill sherry butts. But this one is a 68.52 versus a 41. Let's see what distillery 68 is. Too bad it's not 69, right? All right, 68. This is Blair Athol. I've heard of this one. I can't tell you if I've had anything from there. Don says it's one of his favorite distilleries. You're gonna have to tell me a little more. I love. Oh my god, this photo is so cute. I can't share it. Let me hold on. I gotta share y'all this photo. This is such a cute. Hold on. I want to show you this photo. I'm not set up to do this, but we're going to do it anyways. There we go. Oh, it blurs me. That's kind of cool. Look at this distillery. It's so cute. Ah, I lost it. I lost it. There we go. Look at that. That is so cute. Autofocus is down because it knew I was pulling this up. Maybe, maybe not. That is such a cute distillery. I love that. We're giving some like Hobbiton vibes here. Look at that. That beautiful little creek. I don't know if it's a creek or like a what do you call those things around castles? This is so cute. I love it. Okay. Anyways, I'll let Don talk about this. I'll stop doing this. I'll fix the autofocus. Boom, boom, bam. Hello, we're here. Okay. So Don said this is one of his favorite distilleries. Matthew Parks also said, I'm gonna love this one. Don said, locally it was known as the Blair Athol. Locally I was known as the Blair Athol. Is it Athol or Athol guy? I purchased every 68 bottle release. Im says, don't rush, enjoy. Don said, oh good, I thought I had too much scotch and couldn't focus my eyes. Moats, that's the word. That's the mode. I was looking for, I was like, what do you call the thing around a castle? I play too many video games, I guess. Yes. Wow. Gorgeous distillery. Have any of you guys been there? Don, have you been there? But anyways, okay. Sorry, I'll stop obsessing about how cute they are. Let's talk about this whiskey. This one is a 13-year-old, also bottled at 58.8% ABV. 120 bottles in the US. Again, very, very limited release. First fill PX Sherry Butt. Very different nose. Like I was going to say I like it a lot, but it's very different from the last one that I also liked a lot. All right, trying to reset my palate a little bit here. This one is more, even though it's the same age, the same 13-year age statement, I'm getting more oak here, a little bit more toasty here. Like I said, it's a first fill PX Sherry cask. This one has a sweetness to it, almost like a rum sweetness, believe it or not. But behind that, there's like some older notes that I think attribute to like an older whiskey. Like some things we talk about in bourbon, like I always say like an old like cedar chest or like library notes or like leather. There's some of that there. For sure. And I don't know if that's coming from the PX or if that's coming from the Scotch itself. But let's go ahead and give this a taste. So we're going to try cask number 68.52. Cheers, y'all. Oh, yeah. Oh, dark. Rich. Was this the one that was named Dark? Wonderfully deep. Okay, yeah. Agreed with the name here. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to stick with those things that I was saying. A little bit more of like a leather. To me, this is more of like it's not like an aged leather, like an old leather. It's almost like you just got like a freshly made leather belt or a leather wallet or leather boot. It's got that like fresh leather note to it, which is, I still really enjoy. Trying to find the fruitiness here. I mean, it's absolutely deeply rich. We're not going to deny that. I'm finding some fruit. I'm finding a little bit of that darker raisin fig kind of thing that I get on some wine cask finished whiskeys. Proof wise, I think this actually, these two, okay, the last two that I've had, I think the proof is perfect. I wouldn't change the proof at all. This is such a complex note at 58.8% ABV. I think it needs that extra proof. It needs that extra proof to really bring out these notes. Leather, sweeter, like a cowtail candy, which is one of my favorite notes to give, but it's like that caramel wrapped vanilla cream snack that you get. This is that, but it's like you extract a little bit of the sweetness. You're really amping up that caramel, the darker caramel note. Very, very complex. Like this one's making me think on it. I think maybe it's making me think a little bit too much after having so many pours. I'm gonna have to revisit this one. How about that? I'm gonna draw my limit here. I'm still gonna pour one more, but I'm gonna say that I think I would place this higher if I had a little bit more. If I had started with this one, right? Because I think I'm going into this being my fourth whiskey. There are things that I have yet to discover on this whiskey that I would love to revisit. So I still have half a sample bottle. I'm gonna come back to that one, but I do really enjoy that. It's just the most complex, I think, of them all. All right, one last pour, and then we'll call it a night. Like I said, there's gonna be a part 2 of this. We're gonna do part 2. I don't know if I'll do it next week. I might do it the week after. We'll see. We have some exclusive U.S. Releases for Scotch Malt Whisky Society. We also have some peated releases, so I'm excited to get into those as well. But we got one more tonight. This one is a different label. This one is labeled as Sweet, Fruity, and Mellow. Nicknamed Riveting. I love that name. This one's our last pour of the night. Focus. Okay, come on. I know it's easier to read than that. Oh, there we go. 68.47. So this is the last pour of the night. 68.47. Code, or not code name, but or focused. Name Riveting on the website. This was $120 when it first came out. It is an 11-year-old Highland first fill Oloroso Hogshead whiskey. And as with all of these, we're going to find out where the heck this is from. Cast number 68. 68. Huh, sounds familiar, right? Okay, I had to double check because I was like, was the last one even Highland? Okay, it was. Okay, so the last one was the same distillery. This is still the Blair Athol distillery. The one that we had previously was a first fill PX sherry cask. This one is a first fill Oloroso cask. My experience with Oloroso is it's less sweet, but more savory and a little bit more darker, richer notes. And I think I typically prefer PX over that one, but we're going to see. We're going to see what this one brings me. 68.47, like I said, this one is called Riveting. Emily says the colors sure are nice on these pours. Oh my gosh, look at that. Beautiful color here. Like I said, $120, 11 years old, first fill Highland. Ooh, okay. Yeah, okay, these two side by side. I will admit the previous one, the one we just tried, which was the wonderfully deep 68.52, was a bit more. How would I describe that? Darker, richer, thicker, viscous. This is how I'm going to describe this. The previous one, the wonderfully deep, is like grape jelly. On the nose, the next one, the 68.47, which is the riveting one, is more like you put a little bit of, not as dark as like a jelly. It's not like been that like I don't want to say like condensed down, but it's like this one. The only thing I can say on the nose compared to that one is this is a fresh fruit. This is like a fresh blueberry, maybe a little bit of blackberry, but not like a condensed like grape jelly note. This one's more bright. This one's more out there on the nose. Like I said, 11-year-old Highland Oloroso Hogshead. The proof on this one is 55.4, so we're going drastically down in proof, but this is going to be a sweet, fruity, and mellow release according to their categorization here on the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. So Let's go in for a taste. I do like the nose on it. Mmm. Mmm. Sweeter. What? I've never had an Oloroso that was sweeter than a PX cask, but that's happening right now. Am I crazy here? PX sherry is usually very, very sweet compared to Oloroso, right? Someone tell me what's going on. Someone very familiar with these different casks with Scotch whiskey particularly. Why is this Oloroso drinking so much more heavily than the PX we just had? Because the PX is great. Don't get me wrong. This is a fantastic whiskey. Rich, nutty, everything I expect from a PX. Don said two. Yeah, what the hell, man? Why is this giving me another This was more desserty. I will say that I saved this riveting release for last because I thought it would be more desserty, but I didn't expect it to be a PX cask. Or sorry, not PX, sorry. I didn't expect it to be a Oloroso cask. Woo! Oh, I'm so happy and loose, says Emily. I wouldn't say I'm loose. I'd say I'm pretty tight. But I will say I have my favorites for the night. How about that? Then we're gonna head over to the after party because Cliffy's starting to feel it a little bit. But I do want to get my final thoughts out here of what my favorites were. This was an incredible flight. Don Nishita, you are an amazing man. Thank you for opening my mind to so much different, diverse whiskeys. And even, we're talking about the same distillery. We're trying different casks. We're seeing how much of an impact that cask has on it. That blows my mind, and it blew my mind tonight. So I'm going to rank these in terms of my favorites. Doesn't mean that it's going to be everyone's favorites, but I'm going to say what's my favorites. I will say my top two. Oh, this is going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Let's go for it. Okay. We did get two with the second one. Okay. Favorite of the night. My absolute favorite of this flight is the cask 68.47. The riveting $120 11-year-old Highland. I can't even speak words of how much I enjoy this. This is everything I want in a Scotch. It's everything I want in a whiskey. Incredible. Groundbreaking. I would buy this all day, every day for $120. Second place, actually, we're going to go back to number 2, which was the G10.34. This was the one that was in the Chivas blend, but this was a special toasted and charred cask. That one was my second place. I really, really, really enjoyed that one. Third and fourth place are pretty close. I'm going to just go with my gut here. I think I'm going to say for my third place, I'm going to go for the Wonderfully Deep, which was the 68.52. Of course, this was the 13-year-old Highland. First fill PX cask. Delicious, amazing. But very, very close behind it was the Jam Packed with Darkness, the 41.142. Gosh, I'm sorry my focus isn't. There we go. Very, very close behind it. That was great. Unfortunately, my last place has to go to the standard, the one we started with here, which was the G10.30. This was the Chivas first fill cask. It didn't have any of the barrel cask influences. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. I'm a big fan of single malt whiskeys that have a heavily influenced secondary cask, or a heavily influenced main cask if it's influenced by wine. So, I mean, I've said this on my podcast. I actually said it this week on my podcast, which, by the way, check it out, bourbonbytes.com. Single malt Scotch whiskey, heavily influenced by a wine cask finish at high proof, has always been my favorite Scotches. 3 of these 2 meet that mark, but that doesn't mean that 4 of the 5 are exceptional. This has been incredible. Thank you, Don Nishita. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see the second one, hit the thumbs up, because if you don't, I won't do it. Like, I will say I have 5 more of these. I have 5 more releases of these that Don Nishita sent me. And I am very, very excited to try them. But if you guys don't want me to do it on the channel, I'll just call Don. I'll just call Don and be like, hey Don, I'm gonna do these samples. But if you guys want to see them, come back. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. I'll be here. Like I said, I'm going to Las Vegas this weekend, so this is my reason I'm getting a little crazy tonight, because I'm pre-gaming a little bit for my vacation. But thank you all so much. Matthew says, worthy winner that earned a grunted I believe. Oh, I'm sure. It earned a double in the Cliffy bus. Daughter Pass Whiskey, cheers to you. Thank you so much for seeing. So glad to see you. So much for seeing you. That sounded awful. You know what I was trying to say. All right, well, Cliffy is well intoxicated. Cliffy is heading over to the after party hangout. That's available for everyone, $10 and up on Patreon or the Byte Club. You can find out all the info at bourbonbytes.com. Join us. It's the Bourbon Megabyte tier. We're going to chat. We're going to hang out. And we're going to get Cliffy even more drunk, apparently. So cheers, y'all. I'll see y'all next week. I'll be live next week. This week I'm going to be out of town, so if you want to see my travel photos, make sure to follow me on the Discord server. Again, link down below, the Bourbon and Whiskey Gaming Lounge. Everyone's welcome to join us. Until then, this has been Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with a gaming twist. Cheers. Check out today's podcast that came out with some big gaming and whiskey news and a special bite-sized review. And until next time, I'll see you guys next Thursday. That's my day on the internet. So I'll see you Thursday. All right. Cheers, y'all. Bye.